Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Layman's Guide to Elden Ring DLC at Room Level 1. Today we are going to descend into the Abyss, where we'll fight Midra, Lord of Frenzied Flame. When you burn the sealing tree, you will be teleported to Enir Ilim. However, it is paramount that we gather all Shadow Tree fragments and revered spirit ashes we can before we explore this area. So for now, just touch the first site of grace and teleport away. Remember that place we got to via coffin? Well, that's where we are headed. First of all, we need to kill the two furnace golems in the area. They are exactly the same as the one we killed in part 2. Just quickly run to their feet and stick to their heels to avoid their arms. Spam R1 till they fall on the floor and get a critical hit. The first one drops a tear that covers our enemies in oil, which isn't super helpful since we don't use fire damage. It's the second golem that we are most interested in. However, in order to kill him, we need to do some errands. Teleport to the Great Bridge north side of Grace on the Graveside Plains and loot this shack to acquire the +2 Greater Potentate's cookbook. We also need some Mesmer Embers, which we can get from this small camp near Morth Ruins. Finally, we need a hefty cracked pot. The easiest one to find lies in the Scorched Ruins. Now, we need to climb this part of the ruins so we can be above the golem. Craft a hefty furnace pot and throw it inside him. After this, the golem will be angry at us for making him live, which is something I can relate to. Kill the golem in order to get the blood-sucking tear, which is kind of like power within, in the sense that it greatly increases damage at the cost of making us lose HP every second. Now, follow this path from the Castle Watering Hole side of Grace to get a revered spirit ash. Once that's done, we are pretty much done with the Watering Hole area and can begin heading downstream, putting our mastery over Elden Ring platforming to good use, of course. When you reach this small ethereal graveyard, start going down. This jump looks pretty safe. This horse is going to the glue factory. Carefully make your way down, and when you reach the river, head upstream to get a Shadow Tree fragment. After this, we need to go down these stone coffins you can see on the map in order to continue our descent. We have to... oh my god, please don't kill me. Now we're going to reach an area with 2 golden hippos, which at this point should be pretty easy to kill. Each of them drops a Shadow Tree fragment. These were the last 2 golden hippos in the Realm of Shadow, so we just extinguished a beautiful species. Yay! There's another set of coffins we need to climb down. This will lead us to the Darklight Catacombs, the final obstacle between us and the Abyss. At first I was like, you can't run past everything, but yeah, you pretty much can. The area is quite easy, actually. Just equip something with Bloodhound Step and time your dodges in order to avoid the enemy's range attacks. This big pea shooter looking enemy requires some timing, but is easily skipped. Despite the area being easy, do note that you can't teleport away from it and there is only a site of grace at the beginning, so if you leave it, you'll have to do it all over again. Therefore, you'll have to soldier through the entire dungeon without leaving it until you defeat the boss. Now, the boss of this dungeon is so annoying. In a normal playthrough, he's only a small obstacle since his projectiles deal very little damage. However, at Rune level 1, we are stuck with a bullet hell spammy son of a bitch that can pretty much one-shot us with any of the projectiles in his constant barrages of them. This guy killed me more times than any other boss, and the fact that his name is Jory didn't help either. Anyways, this is a strategy I came up with. First of all, you need to go full hog on attack power and take advantage of the fact that he can be backstabbed. Equip the Dagger Talisman to increase our backstab damage, the Warrior Jar Shard, the Carrion Filigree Crest, and the Blue Dancer Charm, which increases our attack power the less weight we carry. Strip off everything except your spear in order to maximize damage. Since we may be able to survive some of his projectiles, I recommend that you carry more healing flasks than usual. It is actually possible to summon Tish at the beginning of the fight if you don't mind relying on a bit of RNG. Summon her as soon as you enter the arena and hope that he doesn't do the attack in which he summons damaging circles at your feet. However, when he does this attack, he is pretty much asking for a backstab, which can then be followed by an Ice Spear. If you don't want to rely on RNG, you can wait for an opening, drink your flask instead of attacking, quickly go for a backstab and summon Tish as he's getting up. His golden arc attacks should be rolled forward, not backwards. Also, when you're shooting spears at him, try to do it beyond his melee range, as he can hit us more quickly than we can recover. Try to be very aggressive at the beginning of the fight in order to break his guard and get a critical hit for massive damage and a spear follow-up. When he enters phase 2 and summons many enemies at the same time, stay away from them till they disappear. Tish is actually incredibly useful for this phase, because she actually kills the summons before they attack, making them way less threatening. The golden arcs shot by his summons have insane tracking and have to be dodged using iframes, not running sideways. Take advantage of all the backstabs you can get and you should be able to beat the boss. This is an example of how being able to tank damage makes all the difference in this game, as not being able to take more than one hit at the most makes all attacks very challenging. After defeating Jory, you will be able to enter the Abyss, one of the coolest zones in the game. During my first playthrough, I had no idea it existed, and I entered the catacombs expecting them to be another small area with some loot. However, it ended up being an entire new region with unique mechanics and an exciting horror aspect to it. Speaking of which, Torrent is too scared in this area, so we'll have to go on foot. Thank you, Torrent. The Abyss is truly a testament to how rewarding exploration can be in Elden Ring. The fact that From Software is willing to hide such a large portion of the map, only for the most dedicated players to find it, shows how much they respect their fanbase. I love this game so much! Anyways, after walking for a bit, you'll find the Site of Grace and the path. There are actually 2 locations we want to visit here, before heading to the main dungeon. One of them is right here to the southeast, and the other is to the north and center of the region. For the first one, you need to follow the path to the southeast to the very end. The only resistance you'll encounter is this Medding Hand NPC. More like Freezing to Death Hand NPC, am I right? At the end of the road, you will find both the map for this region and a ruined church containing 2 Shadow Tree blessings. Now, teleporting back to the first Site of Grace by the trail, go the same way, but this time turn to the right after walking a short distance. Following this path to the west will lead you to the Abyssal Woods side of Grace. After touching it, start walking to the north and you'll reach a group of horn-sent enemies. At the end of this small section, you'll find a Shadow Tree fragment. The only thing left now is the main dungeon. In order to reach it, you need to head west from the Abyssal Woods side of Grace and stealth past these monsters, the monsters you see in the nightmares you have of your first playthrough. They are actually quite simple. Be wary of not touching the yellow fruit plants in the bushes, as they will give away your location. This is why I never trust bushes, you know? This stone arch marks the first half of the stealth section. Now, for the second part, if you want to be super stealthy about it, you can distract the monsters by throwing a Rune fragment away from your location, and then quickly run past them. I like how they don't give you mere rocks, they give you Rune fragments. Of course, From Software had to go with something more verbose, like that. After overcoming these creatures, you'll see the woods open up again. This time, head to the south, and eventually you'll reach the entrance to Midra's Manse. Feel free to take a selfie next to all these fine gentlemen. This entire region is a bit confusing, so I made this map to show you more or less the paths you want to follow. Now, the dungeon itself is quite simple, and you can pretty much run past everything. Don't forget to kill your mother in order to get a revered spirit ash. You can also get one on this chandelier just before the boss fight. Speaking of which...
Enough. I have endured more than enough. I ask you forgive me, dearest Nanaya.
I'm sorry, Midra, but there can only be one naked lord in the realm of shadow. Now this is a cool boss. In many ways, he reminds me of a classic Soulsborne boss, without impossible to dodge attacks or endless combos. This also means that he doesn't stand a chance against our broken Elden Ring tactics, so this boss was quite easy. I fought him with a Shadow Tree Blessing level of 16 for myself and 8 for my summons. As for the strategy, start by killing Midra's weaker form from afar. This gives you enough time to replenish your FP and drink your physique flask. The second phase 2 begins. Summon Tish. You'll have just enough time to dodge his 2 flame spews, which you can then punish. Now, for this fight, the name of the game is Staying Away. Mainly attack when he's distracted by Tish, and you'll be able to dish out insane amounts of damage. Run away from his phase transition attack and repeat the same strategy. His flame spew attacks can be easily dodged, sideways or backwards, depending on the attack, if you keep the right distance. If he does a gap closer, dodge away from him as quickly as you can and wait for Tish to distract him. And that's GG. Overall, a pretty easy but satisfying fight. You may have seen that he didn't drop his remembrance, but that's actually because I refought him using a mod because I should watch a guide on how to be a good YouTuber and forgot to record it the first time. It doesn't change anything though, and I may use the mod again for better footage. That's going to be enough for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for stopping by, and please consider liking and subscribing as it is greatly appreciated. Stay tuned for part 6, where we'll take care of the rest of the optional content this DLC has to offer. Bye!